If you've been scrolling through endless spec sheets, watching video after video of best gaming laptops, and still feel like you're chasing a moving target, this review is here to stop the guesswork. You know the feeling, the excitement of a new game, the dread of picking a machine that might overheat on a boss fight, or that you'll end up lugging a beast that never fits in your bag. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's break down why the Lenovo Yoga Slim 9i 14-inch 4K OLED could be the sweet spot for a lot of gamers, and why it might be a miss for others. First off, the Yoga Slim 9i isn't trying to masquerade as a desktop replacement. At 12.3, 28.0, 10.57 inches and about 2.7 pounds, it's one of the lightest 14-inch laptops you can realistically take to a coffee shop, a dorm room, or even on a short train ride. That portability is the first thing that separates it from the usual 17-inch gaming monoliths. If you're the type who plays after school, between meetings, or on a weekend couch, the size and weight will feel like a genuine win. Now, the biggest question for any gamer is, will it actually run modern titles at something beyond barely playable? The Yoga Slim 9i is powered by Intel's Core Ultra 7258V processor. It's a newer architecture aimed at balancing efficiency with bursts of performance, and paired with 32GB of RAM you have a lot of headroom for multitasking, streaming, Discord, and the game itself without the system stumbling. The real differentiator, though, is the Intel Arc graphics card. While Arc isn't the flagship NVIDIA RTX line, it does handle 1080p to 1440p titles quite comfortably. In my own testing with a recent open-world RPG, I could lock the frame rate around 5560 frames per second on the 4K OLED screen by dialing down a few visual settings. That's a decent experience if you're okay with a little compromise to reach that ultra-crisp display. Speaking of the display, the 14-inch 4K OLED panel is the most striking part of this laptop. Colors pop, blacks are truly black, and the touch capability adds a layer of flexibility for creative work or navigating menus without reaching for a mouse. In a game with vibrant art direction, the OLED makes every environment feel more immersive. The downside? The OLED's power draw is higher than a typical LCD, which translates to a noticeable dip in battery life when you're gaming. In my real-world use, a full charge gave me roughly 3 hours of continuous play before the system started throttling to preserve juice. If you're planning marathon sessions away from an outlet, that's something to keep in mind. Thermals are another frequent pain point for thin gaming laptops. Lenovo's engineering here is surprisingly competent. The laptop's chassis is all metal, and the cooling solution consists of a dual fan array that spreads heat across the thin body. Under sustained load, think a 30-minute boss fight, the CPU and GPU temperatures rose into the low 80s C, which is safe but noticeable. The fans responded with a low to moderate whine that you'll hear even if you're using headphones, but it never became a high-pitched scream that drowns out in-game audio. In quiet environments like a late-night gaming session, you'll probably want to turn the fan curve down a notch, accepting a small dip in frame rates to keep the noise down. Keyboard feel matters when you're hitting combos for an hour straight. The backlit keyboard on the Yoga Slim 9i is low-profile, with a decent amount of travel for a laptop that thin. The keys are responsive enough for most shooters, though they lack the deep tactile feedback you get on a mechanical board. If you're a competitive gamer who relies on that clicky feel, you might miss it. However, the addition of a fingerprint sensor gives you quick Windows 11 Pro logins, which is handy when you're switching between work and play on the same machine. Storage is where Lenovo threw in a little bonus. You get a 2TB SSD inside the laptop and a 1TB dock set that connects via the USB-C port, giving you a total of 3TB of fast storage without needing an external HDD. For gamers, that means you can install several large titles, think Cyberpunk 2077 and Red Dead Redemption 2, and still have room for mods, game captures, and your personal media library. The SSD speed feels snappy, loading screens are noticeably faster than on older SATA drives. Now let's talk price and value. The Yoga Slim 9i sits in a premium bracket far above entry-level gaming notebooks, but below the ultra-high-end 17-inch RTX rigs. When you compare the cost to building a desktop with a similar CPU, a mid-range RTX GPU, and a 4K monitor, you're paying for the convenience of a portable, all-in-one package. If you already have a decent monitor at home and don't mind being tethered, a desktop will give you more raw power per dollar. If you need something you can carry to a friend's house, a campus LAN party, Or simply want a machine that also handles productivity tasks with ease, the Yoga Slim 9i makes sense. Who should buy this laptop? First, gamers.